Hey, what's up, YouTube? Remember that thing I said about how Steven Crowder doesn't like black people, to which you all in the comments jumped down my throat about it, and then you were like, this is a misstep. I think you need to analyze this a little bit more. I think you need to give it a little bit more care, compassion, and actual, nuance as opposed to, well, let's see if that lives up to the hype. Steven Crowder posting a video that I have not seen yet that says MLK, unifier or communist sex abuse enabler. Even if this was... Mauled incoming, warning, mauled incoming.
And we'll get to the orgies. We'll get to all of that, which a lot of you don't know about MLK. 5 things you don't know about MLK. Bet you didn't expect to hear MLK and crack whores.
What?
This is your hero? This is your hero? This is your man's? I'm gonna do a little quick off-site search real quick. Just a quick. Very interesting. The name crack first appeared in the New York Times on November 17, 1985. Within a year, more than 1,000 press stories had been released about the drug. In the early 1980s, the majority of cocaine being shipped to the United States was landing in Miami and originating in Colombia, trafficked through the Bahamas and the Dominican Republic. Soon there was a huge glut of cocaine powder in these islands, which caused the price to drop by as much as 80%. Faced with dropping prices for the illegal product, drug dealers made a decision to convert the powder to a solid smokable form of cocaine that could be sold in smaller quantities to more people. It was cheap, easy, simple to produce, ready to use, and highly profitable for dealers to develop. As early as 1981, reports were appearing in Los Angeles, Oakland, San Diego, Miami, Houston, New York, and the Caribbean. So this man decided to open the video with a lie. Wasn't even around during his time. Wasn't even around during MLK's time, and he picks... And this is the people that shot. This is the 79,000 views.
MLK Junior Day.
Yeah, Junior.
I always need to clarify Junior.
Yes.
Because some people are like, middle child?
Who's saying that? Why? Who are these clowns? They laugh at everything he say. What are you talking about?
Could be the second. No,
It could be the second.
There was 4, I
second.
think.
Yeah.
I just don't, yeah.
Could be like
Junior.
George Foreman.
They're all named George.
that's true.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Let me be really clear about this. I like a lot of what MLK Jr. had to say.
Okay.
I certainly think that his speech has been, pardon my language, shit on by today's left, where he talked about the content of character.
Yeah.
On my YouTube, the second to last video I've uploaded recently is why do people whitewash or why do people disparage MLK Jr.'s words? Already 42 seconds in, and I just, oh hell no! Hey! Thank you for the follow.
Yeah.
These were values that we would all align ourselves with.
Yeah.
However, MLK did become far more radical as life went on, and there's a lot that you don't know about MLK.
If he became more radical, i.e. the radical left, then what in his speech, and he did it. He did it.
Gosh.
Oh my gosh. You see, that's the first time that, thank you for the follow. That's the first time that notification came up, and that's been sitting in there as long as the other notifications. I hate stream. You know what? Me and Pineapple, we're just going to workshop and we're going to trigger all these things so that way if one happens, it can't repeat itself until the entire list has repeated itself. Because there's like 20 sitting there and only 4 play. Anyway, he said it and I missed that. I honestly, legitimately missed that. He said the speech has been shit on by today's left for content of character. Like, he said other fucking things. You can look at his daughter's Twitter, and she literally said, everyone thinks he said only these things. Here are some other things that he said that actually matter more to his message than the things you keep parroting.
Okay, Junior, and I want to be clear, there are values of...
As a matter of fact, wouldn't today's left all be about content of character because all we do is id poll? All we care about is identity? Like, aren't we literally giving everyone a label so they have a place to fit, and therefore all they have to care about is the content of their character and not their skin color or their sexual orientation? To me, it's like you're doing this with a purpose. And I hope by the end of this video, you explain to me your purpose, because right now you feel very punchable.
Course that he espoused that we agree with.
Yeah.
But the man was flawed like a lot of men. But the issue here is if it's going to be a national holiday while you're tearing down statues of people who fought against slavery.
Like, hold on, chat on fire right now. Chat on fire right now. His speech, singular. I didn't even peep that. The left shits on the right for not knowing other speeches' words. Like, literally, yo.
Like Abraham Lincoln, or even people who freed slaves upon their death, where we're talking about George Washington or Jefferson, then you can't have a statue and you can't have an MLK Jr. Day, because what I'm about to tell you is a lot worse.
Oh my God. Oh my God. Oh my God. Oh my God. MLK's death led to the riots that led to the passing of the Civil Rights Act. He's gonna, at some point in this video, all right, we're throwing a prediction out here. At some point in this video, he's gonna mention idealizing MLK like we idolized George Floyd. Promise you it's coming. And oh my God, that's such a rapid prediction off the top of my head. I know it's coming though.
I didn't know a lot of this.
Yeah. And everything.
Well, the wife of MLK actually gave his letters and all of his writings to somebody at Stanford, and he specifically formed MLK in a way that would be palatable. So he cut out.
Palatable to who? Like, that's another slogan we're putting on a t-shirt. Just take one more step forward with your thinking. Just try it. Take one more step. More palatable to who?
All of the stuff that's
Yeah.
All the
negative,
rough edges.
Right.
all the rough edges. So that's why we have and he advocated for the MLK Day.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, okay. Well, here's the thing. Everything
Don't
we're
get
about to share with you comes directly from congressional records, archived newspapers, MLK's own speeches. And I know the FBI is not an organization that I trust. Okay, I want to be very clear. However, none of the evidence that we'll be providing for you here has actually been refuted by anyone in the MLK camps.
Yeah, they just don't like how they obtained it.
Right. It was surveillance transcripts that were reported by a guy named David Garrow.
I don't trust the FBI, but like nobody else has said that they were lying, so you know.
But he also, this is the biographer. He obtained these transcripts from the
Them
FBI.
Nikes looking
He
awful.
was the official biographer
I hate that he'd be
on
up here
MLK.
like this
he won
the
the
whole
97
time.
Pulitzer Prize. So this is a man who was very pro. Did I say?
You said 90, 87.
87.
Yeah.
And the FBI surveillance audio will be released in 2027. I don't know why they picked that year. I have no idea.
Specific year.
Later, you know. They're like, oh, crap, it's getting closer.
So here's something you probably know that MLK, for example, let's start with this. Supported peaceful protest.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. That is true. Sometimes. He also had some pretty, I guess you could say, unsavory opinions about riots that I do think need to be considered because a lot of people don't know this part.
And continue to say to my brothers and sisters that this is not the way. Continue to affirm that there is another way. But at the same time, it is as necessary for me to be as vigorous in condemning the conditions which cause persons to feel that they must engage in riotous activities as it is for me to condemn riots.
I agree with everything thus far.
I think America must see that riots do not develop out of thin air. certain conditions continue to exist in our society, which must be condemned as vigorously as we condemn riots. But in the final analysis, a riot is the language of the unheard. What is it that America has failed?
Fuck! How did you hear that man on video? That, you know, for the time, I think it's fair we can make this meme for the time. That's 4K. You're hearing him in 4K literally say that conditions for riots will appear. And therefore, a riot is something that I condemn, but I cannot pretend as though that will be the be-all, end-all to people rioting, because the conditions that exist are perpetuating a need for a riot. And therefore, if I don't condemn the conditions, if I can't fix the conditions, if the government or people in power do not fix these conditions, then you will continue to get riots. If one is not condemned, then I will not condemn the other. He just fucking said that.
It has failed to hear that the plight of the Negro poor has worsened over the
Hate
last
speech.
few years. It has failed to hear that the promises of freedom and justice have not been met. And it has failed to hear that large segments of white society are more concerned about tranquility and the status quo. And as long
The summer of love. He's talking about the summer of love.
as America postpones justice, we stand in the position of having these recurrences of violence and riots over and over again.
See, and that's the problem, is the open-endedness to it, because,
Yeah.
well, what is justice? Well, right now people are saying, oh, injustice is there are too many Asians at Stanford.
Yeah.
I'ma deck you in the schnoz.
So let's burn down a Walgreens.
It needs to be more
Exactly.
specific than
You need
that.
to be a little more specific, and let me be clear, too, at another 1967 speech, and we'll get to the crack whores, and we'll get to the orgies, we'll get to all of that, which a lot of you
Hey.
don't know about
What?
MLK. 5 things you don't know about MLK. Bet you didn't expect to hear MLK and crack whores
What?
today. I have a dream of non-crack whores at a Motel 6.
Nope. No.
I don't think crack existed
wouldn't
then.
go.
I love how instantaneously everybody in that room,
A Motel 6.
I'm probably not.
Yeah.
Just
Motel 8.
just whores in general, then.
I love how everybody in that room was like, that's a little too racist. I don't think you would go that far with it. Maybe you should slow down a little bit. Like, y'all let him, y'all got in the studio knowing what he was going to say.
So a 67 speech, King said, urban riots are a special form of violence. They are not insurrections. Disagree.
Good to know.
Said the rioters
Urban versus capital.
are not seeking to seize territory to attain control of institutions, which today they are. That's their
That's literally not true.
stated goal. Black Lives Matter. They are mainly intended to shock the white community. The looting enables the most enraged and deprived, I'm using his word here, Negro to take hold of consumer goods
He wanted to say that so bad, using his word here. Negro, you know them Negroes.
with the ease the white man does by using his purse.
Correct. Bread. Little shit. Things that like people, oh shit's going down. I'm gonna get me a TV. At least when I go home. At least when I go home. I've made my material conditions better because my internal self will never be justified in a white society.
This goes on a lot. If you look at some of his statements regarding riots and regarding violent protest,
Yeah.
it's worse than I thought. I thought he kind of both sides it. He actually more often encouraged violent protesting than he discouraged it, and that is probably disappointing to a lot of people.
Except the black motherfuckers who read this shit, listened to him speak, and understood what he was talking about. That shouldn't be disappointing to us, but it's probably disappointing to all the white people who thought, oh, we can't just parrot MLK and say, you know, riots are uncool. He sounds based. He sounds like he would fit in with today's left. Didn't you start this on saying that we shit on MLK's words and then in the next couple minutes literally justify today's social climate with his words? Help me figure out why this man does this. Help me.
Yeah, he's making excuses for people basically losing their minds. Look, I get it. There was so much injustice. I have no idea.
Excuses for people losing their minds. Like, I don't know. If we had some big event last year that like everyone was losing their minds over, and then we tried to, do an investigation as to why these people lost their minds, and everybody who was even remotely accountable or trying to be held accountable was like, LOL, no. Like, maybe that's an excuse for people losing their minds. Maybe we're justifying it by literally going on to podcasts and panels and making content on how January 6th really wasn't that bad.
Excuses for people basically losing their minds. Look, I get it. There was so much injustice. I have no idea how I would feel, but I probably wouldn't then go and burn down or rob a local store owned by other black people in my community.
Right.
That's the
and
thing.
I would never justify it and say, well, it is just as easy as a white.
I'm pretty sure that showed up on my screen, didn't it? Emmy. Pineapple. Super Budtastic. If you're around, please take care of that. Hit that, please. Thank you.
White man using his purse. Well, first of all, men and purses. This was beginning of the.
I'm talking about Europe, Gerald A.
It's not a European man bag, Stephen. All right.
Well, it seems that he doesn't clarify, or he's flip-flops.
Yeah. Okay, so this dude that's chatting in my chat right now is a suspicious user, monitored ban evader. So fragile, can't even accept criticism. You know what I can accept? This easy clap. Why don't you go try and accept some bitches? So fragile, you got no bitches. How about that? You'll weep when, you know what? You'll weep when you get an orgasm when you finally talk to some bitches. How about that? Where the fuck was that guy?
Because there is another interview where he specifically says,
know what? I'm glad that's on the VOD, and I'm glad that's on this segment. Look at that. The little racist trolls come out to play. That's so cute. He's probably going to make another account. I can't wait.
riots are against the black community, because then the same thing that we've said before in 2020, it destroys their own community, and it does the opposite of what you want it to do. And he says,
I let him stay in sometimes. We pet the chud, but like only intelligent chuds. Like I've had one right winger in here who was spitting, and like we got into a thing about it, and I showed him that I was like correct on what I was saying, and he's like, I never thought about it like that. Now I know how to maneuver that. Like we sometimes pet the chud, but that was a little wild. He was wilded.
You can kill a murderer, but you can't kill murder.
Well, Pops Crowders here, the Detroit riots, which you were alive for, that really hurt the white man, right, in his purse.
We didn't feel it at all.
No. But yeah, he needs to, whenever he says stuff like that, he should have combined it with what he said later in a different interview.
Yeah.
It hurts the black community to do this, and then say they do this because they're being
oppressed.
You know what must be condemned just as vigorously is the harming of your own community. That's what needs to be condemned just as vigorously.
So let's condemn the opioid crisis. Oh, wait a minute. Y'all don't care about that. Let's correct heroin and fentanyl. Oh, you don't care about that. Let's meth. You don't care about that. White communities be sitting there literally with documentaries on how children feel when they walk in their house and they see their parents passed out on drugs, and like they'd have to take care of themselves. That's a white community thing. Like it is a minority thing as well, alcohol abuse, substance abuse, blah, blah, blah. But like we make a big thing about like seeing those cases. We talk about trailer trash and all that shit, and nobody ever lends a handout because poor whites are the same as poor blacks. It's all on your fault. You got white privilege and you can't get it together, so let's solve that inequality together then. But how are we supposed to do that when we take our problems and extrapolate them to other communities, and then you keep blaming the community instead of the conditions within the community that keeps them locked in. If you have a community of 5 million people and each of those people have $2 million each, none of them fight over resources. Their problems become isolated into the home, i.e. domestic abuse, i.e. like sex abuse. Like, we talk about these things all the time. If you extrapolate that out, you can find underlying issues or underlying systemic problems with not enough therapy, not enough resources, not enough money, not enough time. And all of a sudden, you're trying to figure out how to solve that. Well, let's look at the gated community. Are people in gated communities aiming guns at each other? No, they then tend to aim guns at the people who walk near their community who just also happen to be black. Yes, I'm referencing a specific case. So maybe to rationalize this in a world that you can understand. Because I see what's coming. They're going to talk about the fact that burning down or looting a black-owned business only hurts the black people who own that business in the community. But again, weren't we talking about Targets and Walmarts getting looted? Wasn't that on the news? Wasn't that what we could see with our own eyes? What black man owned a Walmart? And if there is one, I'm so sorry, I'm ignoring your presence. What black man owned a Target? Oh wait, these are franchises owned by corporate stores. So there ain't no one black man. So I guess looting Targets, Walmarts, game stores, etc., anything not owned by the black community themselves would be appropriate. Here's a question for you. Since I just didn't condemn riots and instead just encouraged them, I'm promoting violence on my channel. Here's a question for you then. Why are there so many of these non-black owned operative stores and Walmarts and mega stores inside of black communities? Why don't black people own any stake in that? Do you think maybe if they did, they wouldn't have to do what they're doing? So maybe the riots that are entertained in their own communities are because taking that anger out on a different community, i.e. the KKK walking through black neighborhoods, i.e. Black Wall Street, would be seen as a militant offense as opposed to a language of the unheard, and you wouldn't get the message anyway. So instead of attacking another neighborhood that probably would make more of a difference towards people hearing what you got to say, you would still condemn it anyway, because why are these black people coming into these white neighborhoods and fucking shit up? Why don't we have segregated neighborhoods? Why don't they do that shit in their own hood? So black people can't riot in their own neighborhoods because I've just explained to you the justification against that. Black people can't riot in other neighborhoods because I've just explained to you the justification against that. So black people can't riot at all. Huh. It's funny how it took me 2.5 minutes to explain all of Black America and the conundrum we find ourselves in. Because when little Amy goes missing down a well, everybody up in arms about that shit. Black kid gets killed by police. Shouldn't have been out that late. Why was he holding a gun? Where was his parents? Like, questions. Let's look at him on Instagram videos waving a gun with money. Like, come on.
We think of the Detroit riots.
Yeah.
And then they blamed what?
Come on.
White flight, Detroit riots. Like, well, first off, that's not what happened. Second,
Yes,
you burned down your own communities
exactly.
in Detroit.
Yeah, literally.
Black people were harmed. And you know who got the worst end of that stick? Was black police officers. They had to go home in unmarked cars because they were being picked off by snipers on rooftops.
Right.
There is, you
Whoa. He lied. Hold on, let's go down. Because, yeah, we already looked at the rooftop Koreans. Militia groups respond with armed intimidation online. So the snipers... He's lying. He's just straight up lying. He's straight up lying. We found the story he's talking about.
The worst end of that stick was black police officers. They had to go home in unmarked cars because they were being picked off by snipers on rooftops.
Right.
There is, you cannot find it.
He's lying. Okay, chat, if I don't get 79,000 views on this video specifically, I hate everything about my life. I'm kidding. It's not about the views. Just like 6 viewer Andy picking apart the big $1.08 million Crowder.
Examples of riots from the 1970s onward that were targeted specifically, let's say, against just white people, which would be racist, but at least would just make maybe sense. No, it ends up hurting people in their own community, and that needs to be condemned just as vigorously. Oh, well, we don't find that writing. Maybe it's because you were too busy with number 2 when we're talking about things.
What do you mean you don't find that writing? You just showed it on the screen. You cannot, you're gaslighting me. He's gaslighting me. He's gaslighting black people. He's gaslighting black people with this fucking thing. He's gaslighting black people with this. There's no way you just showed it on the screen and your ass got the nerve to say no
things
way.
that you may not have known about MLK. Worked with communists.
Yeah.
Smell like bitch in here.
Oh, y'all smell like bitch to me. Oh, thank you for the follow. Loiter Squad, gang. Thank you for the follow. Ain't no fucking way, son. Ain't no fucking way, son. Ain't no fucking way. You don't think, like, we have screamed from the top of the mountains that he was a communist and that y'all wouldn't fuck with him. That's why he was killed, bro. Like, the whole court case. I remember my friend yelling to me about that. They won the case. Like, they won the case. Like, a fucking yo.
Very closely. And I don't mean that in the sort of sense where people are like, pinko commie. I mean, one of his top advisors was a guy named Stanley Levison.
We talked about that.
Okay?
We taled about that.
And he was a member of the
Watchmen.
Communist
That's in a
Party until
segment.
1956.
That's in a segment.
And he secretly
okay,
gave
that's fine.
MLK Jr.
It's okay.
$10,000.
Before we get into the rest of that, I just want to address that because I always feel like when you come here, you're expected to know some stuff. Like, no, like you could be completely clueless about everything that I'm talking about right now, and this is all new information for you. I want people to just do a little bit of reading. Like, and I know the leftists mean too many words, but like, that's why this channel exists, because I want to make it easier instead, so you don't have to sit there and read. What was I saying? Yeah, some people really only learned about Tulsa through Watchmen. That's fine. My problem is that it led nowhere. Like, now you know it exists. Can we build up a little? Like, some people, probably you, probably a bunch of others, are taking that next step. I'm listening to black creators now. I'm trying to find out more on a topic that I had no idea about. I'm asking questions. Simple shit. Take you 5 minutes. I answer your question. Oh shit, I learned something. I'm out. Like, people watched that shit and they were just like, well, that was in the past. Like, oh, get me off this planet.
Member of the Communist Party until 1956, and he secretly gave MLK Jr. $10,000 just 1 year after meeting him.
That's a lot of thousands.
Yeah, adjusted to today's dollars, that'd be about $87,000.
Wow, that's a big donation.
Adjusted to today's dollars, that would be $87,000, but yet wages are stacked. It's like I could bring up a bunch of issues, but what are you talking about? So some dude who is a communist gave him bread. Like, people give me bread. Am I a communist? I mean, technically, yeah, but like not in the realm of like, I want communism, just more like social democracy, and then we could push a little bit more left, but you know what I mean.
That's a lot more thousands than I thought.
Seems like an odd number, though.
Yeah.
I'm going to give
Inflation.
you $87,000.
Can't you round this shit to 90? I have a dream.
I have a dream.
That's not racist. He's not like he's a like that's you don't feel the racism like exuding through this screen.
I have a big purse.
All you
Just like the one, man.
white devils with your Gucci's and your Michael Kors.
Sure.
That's a black thing. Yo. Black people do not watch Steven Crowder. I just have to make that as there's no way. There's no way you're sitting there and you don't feel these aggressions coming at you.
Demons everywhere I go.
And your Louis Vuittons, I have a dream. So FBI counter
Looks around to make sure, yeah, guys, that's not too racist, right? that's not too disparaging towards black people, right? We still like the Negroes.
agent Carl Prussian, and again, this is from the biography, just to be clear. So I know that the FBI isn't always a reliable source, but I did wiretap, which I think is a horrible thing.
Yeah.
However, we also have to acknowledge the facts and reality as it relates to MLK's life. You see a progression of him becoming more and more radical. Some people argue it's because of drug use. Some people argue it's just fame is corrosive to the human soul, but he wasn't the guy who a lot of people praise.
Is he 1350ing Martin Luther King Jr.? Is he sincerely pulling a Trayvon Martin right now? The George Floyd thing is coming up. I promise you. I promise you. There is no way that this man is saying things you didn't know about MLK that might make you think less of him. How do you take a black... Ski! Huh? Huh? What? Oh my God. I'm only 9 minutes into this video and I'm screaming at the top of my lungs inside my head. Where's that meme of Trunks when she was in DBZ Abridged when she was like, I'll be your mommy. Oh!
Sort of like I've talked about this with Muhammad Ali. It's the flip side, where people with Muhammad Ali don't realize that Muhammad Ali, who was a draft dodger, who was a known racist, who was against intermarrying, against race mixing.
Oh my. He dodged the draft for the exact same reason Martin Luther King explained he wasn't going to go fight a war for white people at home while they get to sit with their tea and crumpets and enjoy the death of thousands of young bodies. He literally explained that, and if that makes him he had a whole speech on that. How do y'all pay attention to the one speech of Martin Luther King and ignore everything else that was said and then ignore everyone else's words? It's just pretty much black people. Yeah, that's bad.
Later on in his life, actually moved out to the suburbs and not only supported Ronald Reagan, campaigned for white Mormon Orrin Hatch.
Oh, wow.
But no one talks about that with Muhammad Ali.
Yes, we do. Yes, we do. That was the whole point of why people were confused at how he was moving.
People change. If you change the wrong way, you'll notice there's a span of Muhammad Ali's life where he really wasn't a celebrity. He wasn't given the same kind of shine. And then, of course, when he died, we go back to when he was young, when he would say he was young and naive and ignorant. How about once he grew up and apologized for the race baiting and calling Joe Frazier a house Negro and an Uncle Tom. And he said, I shouldn't have done that, and called Sonny Liston a big, ugly gorilla. This is what Muhammad Ali would do with people. He said, I was wrong, and I moved out to the suburbs because I didn't want to be in those communities anymore because I have children.
Yeah.
No.
Oh my God, he's lying again. So I'm going to read this out loud because I know it's small on your screens if you're watching on your phone. The friendship we developed was, I think, puzzling to many people, especially those who only saw our differences. But where others saw difference, Ali and I saw kinship. We were both dedicated to our families and deeply devoted to our faiths. He to Islam and I to the Church of the Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints. We were both products of humble backgrounds and hardscrabble youth. True, we were different in some ways, but our differences fortified our friendship. They did not define it. I saw greatness in Ali's ability to look beyond the horizon of our differences to find common ground. The longest-serving Republican senator announced his blah, blah, blah. One day in 1998, the superannuated boxer simply arrived unannounced, thanked him for the part he played in securing a federal appointment for one of Ali's friends, and confessed to being impressed with how the senator spoke on television. Within months, Ali was traveling to Utah to campaign for his new best pal. Hatch was running for re-election against a character named Brian Moss, and he announced his presence by roaring, "Tell Moss you're the boss." While he also turned up at the Republican convention in New Orleans that year as Hatch's personal guest, wearing a badge that read Bush in 88, Hatch in 96. In other words, some of his fans and indeed his close friends regarded Ali's strange alliance with Hatch and his willingness to publicly endorse the elder Bush as a blatant portrayal of his principles and of the African-American community, which had suffered deeply, unduly under Republican regimes. Others viewed as more ecumenical. My God, Marquise, get it together. You can read. Oh my God. Ecumenical. Thank you. Jesus Christ. Approach to politics rather differently. Regarding it as just more evidence of his uniquely bipartisan approach to life and age as he's matured. So he's lying again. What a Weasley little liar, dude. What a Weasley. I got a friend of mine living in Utah. She live in Utah? Yeah, she live in Utah. Yeah. Shout out to the Utah. Well, don't y'all call y'all, isn't it just called the Ta? That's what it's called, right? That's what you told me. We just call it the Ta.
Malcolm X, same thing. Later in his life, he rethought his violence attack rhetoric. He's like, I don't think that was the right way to go. And being connected with the Muslim church.
Yeah.
Who killed him?
The Muslim Brotherhood, right? But it
not good.
It doesn't give you what you want, right? So, Darren, how many white people looked at the Detroit riots and were like, "Oh, you know what? They're probably right." Yeah, I totally understand. How many people from the?
I just brought this up. I just explained that. I just explained why white people wouldn't look at Baltimore and be like, that makes perfect sense. One of the first videos I ever did was literally taking Hot Damn Iraq's take on the Baltimore riots and saying no leader, no progress. If you don't have a vision, it's going to look chaotic, messy, silly, and people are not going to judge it as well. Even though we in our own community know what's going on, to expand that message outwards, you need to be palatable to white people. I didn't agree with that, but I understood what he was talking about in the form of no leader, no progress. White people see this as war. They see it as war, and in war you got to play a certain role. There's a general, there's people who take orders, etc. non grata. Look what happened to the last leader. Truth be told, as soon as the truth be told, the leader is flat. Like,
the other side were brought to their cause and like given a chance to see what was going on.
Well, they had to see it through binoculars.
Well, that's true. What about the riots in Los Angeles? Not the first time, but the second time that they.
Sweetie, I believe they're burning down Indian Village. There's a bunch of screaming gay men. I don't know.
It doesn't bring people to your cause.
No, of course not.
People hate your cause because you're tearing down the city.
Well, MLK became more.
But if we tear down your city, we would get it. Didn't you say that earlier? About entering white communities and doing it? Why are you tearing down your own? So you hold both positions. You are a white man who holds both these positions. Please get me off of this planet.
So it's the flip side. He became more radical, and so he's venerated. Whereas when Muhammad Ali became more reasonable, they just sort of ignored him for a while. So FBI counteragent Carl Prussian wrote in a sworn affidavit to Congress, "I further swear and attest that Reverend Martin Luther King Jr. was always set forth as the individual to whom communists should look and rally around in the communist struggle on the many racial issues. I hereby also state that Martin Luther King Jr. has either been a member of or wittingly has accepted support from over 60 communist fronts, individuals, and or organizations which give aid to or espouse communist causes." Number 3, things that might surprise you about ML.
Nothing you've said has surprised me except your blatant racism.
Okay. Not only
and it's not even to the point where I have to extrapolate meaning. You're just out with it. Mask off full.
Witness to rape, didn't do anything about it. 1964, MLK watched as his friend, a Baptist minister, Logan, is it Kearse or Kiersey? I don't know how to pronounce it. Raped a woman at the Willard Hotel in D.C. A lot of you know this. A lot of people don't. Notes from David Garrow. Again, this is the biographer. And the FBI surveillance docs show, which will be released in 2027.
Yep.
The group met in his Kearse's hotel room and discussed which women among the parishioners would be suitable for natural or unnatural sex acts. When one of the women protested that she did not approve of this, the Baptist minister immediately and forcibly raped her. Quoted directly from the FBI notes, surveillance notes, King looked on, laughed, and offered advice.
That's unbelievable. And by the way, just to be clear, the audio tapes will be released in 2027. These notes right now, and this is what the author said, because he's taken all kinds of flack for it. Nobody is challenging the legitimacy of the claims. They're just saying they bugged it. It was the biggest FBI abuse of power they've ever seen because they bugged him and he didn't know. And they bugged everything. And then they started releasing things to try to get this factual information that they had into the right hand so they could smear King. That was it. Not that it was lies.
Right.
You can go to the National Archives right now. Anybody with an internet connection can go and look this up. It is public.
Well, we have the links available.
Yep,
too.
and you have to deal with it.
LoudOathCutter.com, all references available. I mean, offering advice on a rape is
reprehensible. Yes, but the Milligan, he's Trayvon Martining it. That's all he's doing.
Almost
he's
shocking.
Trayvon Martining it.
I never knew
say
that.
so.
Yeah, and he had daughters too. That's a
They
horrible.
don't want to
It's
hear
a terrible
that.
thing.
It's funny how they're giving it
congratulations.
40 years from the date of the article, 87, right? They figure he can shine for 40, and then we're going to bring facts out.
Yeah.
It's all going to be available in 2027.
Well, if we're tearing down statues, there's a big MLK thing that we should probably go take a look at and watch.
I love how I knew he was going to say that. I love how I foresaw if we're tearing down white supremacists, we should also tear down black communist supremacists. Why do we have an MLK Day at all? It's crazy how we had to fight to explain Christopher Columbus to you, but you think that's equal to you think the genocide of Native American peoples is equal to that one dude being a really shitty person behind doors.
I don't know if it's as bad as Abe Lincoln, who fought against slavery. You got to tear that down.
Well,
but the man who was like,
yeah.
no, get up on, turn her around, see?
Well, it's not like Roosevelt.
Why does he keep putting on that accent? This is what I mean. Why does he keep putting on that accent? Well, that's how MLK sounded. You just don't have to do it, though.
He had in positions of power, a Native American and a black person with him.
This guy had her in positions of rape.
Well, that's not power.
Well, some say it's a crime of power. It's not so much a crime of power, so much a crime that I want to have sex and she didn't.
How do you make a statue of that?
Love and marriage go together like a horse and carriage. This I tell you, brother, you can't have one without the other. Try.
Well, it requires a lot of iron, a lot of smelting.
If he were to come alive today,
Skilled artisans.
If he were to come alive today to his dream, which is what people focus on, he would say, "We're here. This is it. It's exactly what I imagined."
Well, no,
We
Why
were
are you
here,
guys
and then we
complaining?
passed it.
Then we
No,
went back.
he would say, exactly. In the 90s, we were here.
Yeah.
We
My
got
dream-
there in the 90s.
My dream was never.
That's literal bullshit.
Never to play the victim card in perpetuity, and that's what we have today.
Well, we also have the next one. So if he were alive today, I mean, he participated in massive orgies, which he would have loved TikTok.
Man knows how to party.
Touche.
Man knows how to party.
Just would have loved the talk. The following night, this is after, I believe, the rape, in which he offered play-by-play color commentary. MLK and his friend participated in a sex orgy with about 12 people, approximately 12 people. How do you have an approximate number?
Yeah.
If I'm at an orgy,
It's hard to count. There's so
I would
many
have an
arms.
exact head count.
It's like the grid system. When you're doing crowd estimation, you just say,
You just 5 feet by 5 feet, and then just kind of guess.
What do I do with count them as 1.5? Twins, if they're Siamese, it's 1. If they're separated, we will count them as 1.5 people.
It's pretty musty in here.
Yeah.
The smell must have been bad. You're right.
When one woman shied away from engaging in unnatural sex act, King and others discussed how to initiate her, and he told her the act would, quote, help her soul. Well, that's a clever.
I don't think that's true.
He also, no, it did happen, but it
No, I
didn't
mean,
help her
it's-
soul.
The advice, I don't think, is true. I mean,
That might be
I have
incorrect.
something that will soothe your soul. Is it the word of God? Not exactly.
He just doesn't like black people. I don't know how I can make this any clearer to people. He clearly has a disdain towards black people.
Gotta have a drink first. MLK also participated in another orgy in Las Vegas with a friend, a prostitute, and the gospel singer Clara Ward. Oh,
What? It's Las Vegas. Why do we know about this? It's supposed to stay there. Come on.
Well, because she sang about it. Yeah, the gospel was like, "Oh, happy day! I had
What a
sex with
snitch.
MLK." He's like, "Shut up, bitch! Shut up!"
This is degeneracy. This is what, like 3-4 white guys just sitting in there just shitting on MLK. Waited to upload this specifically on that day so everyone can have a laugh.
Garrett, you're right. The
This is
biggest
the
point in all of
greatest-
this,
going on?
This
the
is the
things don't
greatest-
actually stay in
This
Vegas.
is the greatest. Quote me. Steven Crowder has made the greatest video of all time. The greatest video of all time. This is the best content. This is a Steven Crowder fan channel now. We're only watching this forever until like he stops making it, and we're just gonna sit and laugh and enjoy this because, oh my god, oh my god.
Next day, he's given a sermon, and of course, as we all know as Christians, we are to keep our mouths silent.
Shut.
As it relates to secrets or events that have happened in Vegas. We have solemnly sworn that it will stay in Vegas. Right, Clara? Right? Bitch, that's right.
Caught me off guard. I just read that. Respect, brother. I'll go to hiding away. Now, we needed you here. We had a hardcore racist in here like 5 minutes ago. Or at least like 10, 20 minutes ago. Yo, we had a hardcore. This man was like, you see. That man was off. That man was off the goop. In chat, yes, in chat. That shit was, oh my god, yo. That shit was funny that you said. This is literally Leonardo DiCaprio's character from Django personified. He's like, that was a tutorial. That was a manual. Level 1.
My soul doesn't feel so. I didn't promise. No money back. Now, King and Ward watched King's friend have intercourse with LaRue, Gail LaRue. LaRue told the FBI investigator, that was the worst orgy I've ever gone through.
Wait. How
Wait,
much?
what?
There's a sliding orgy scale.
Question here.
Was that a 1-star? Or
Am I bugging? And I'm not validating anything he's saying. I'm not validating anything he's saying. But am I bugging and saying you could have took that point or a few of these points and made legitimate jokes and then talked like he just mentioned like the idea of, the faith and, buying your soul. I didn't promise, no money back. Like we could talk about the Christian church and how they use that type of like the offerings and how they leech money from their communities. We could have really went into that. We could have made a funny joke about the sliding scale of orgies and like made a whole joke about like how women sometimes feel like it just, the dick wasn't that good. We could have had a nice time with it. Right back into the racism. Like he launched back. Like we are going into funny territory and I refuse to do that.
orgy rating? What is this, Uber?
Yeah. What's the Yelp review here?
Yeah.
I would never go back for another orgy there.
Would not
To
recommend.
experience, yeah, for sure.
That's the last time I go to that orgy.
Yeah. There were whips and stuff. I'm not into it.
It's just too much. It was just too orgy-ish.
There wasn't even good food.
And here's the that's the strip club.
The buffet
they have a
was
fantastic
terrible.
buffet and a wonderful sneeze shield.
We're done puffing.
I tested it.
The rest of the stream is me raw.
Also, I don't know if you know this. Surprise!
I'm
MLK
locked in.
Jr.
I'm locked in
was a
now.
black man.
Really?
Yes, he was black. This is another little bit of a swerve. Just in case, because I know the videos are black and white.
Thought he was gray.
Yeah, well, black and white. So that's why I know it's tough. You know what's actually fascinating? If you go back and watch young Joe Louis, and sorry, Joe Louis is here, not you. Young Joe Louis, the fighter, he looks like a white guy.
Oh.
In some of them, the way they color correct it, because he'd be fighting like Jersey Joe Walcott or something, and a black guy looks darker, and you just look at him, and he had the hair kind of parted to the side.
Yeah.
You're like, where's Joe Louis? Behind that white man?
Are there two
that's
Joe
him.
Lewis's?
This is not brought to you in Technicolor, but he was black. And here's the thing, despite all of these little known facts about MLK, I want to be very clear. This is about consistency. This is about if you're going to tear down statues because of something that you deem offensive, because people lived an imperfect life, then you would have to apply it to someone who took part in rapes, to someone who was taking parts in orgies.
So, if the problem is consistency, then why are people like you fighting against? Intellectual scholar moment. If perhaps the reason why you dislike these things that are happening in these communities, such as the tearing down of statues, and you wish for there to be a bit of consistency, then perhaps you should recognize that the people whose statues are being torn down or being asked to be removed in place or in lieu of other more notable, more likable figures, maybe perhaps you should look into what they stood for while they were alive, not for their unsavory past, but perhaps for what they stand for and what that means for the community. When people see Martin Luther King, they don't say rape is cool. They don't say shit like orgies are cool, even though some of them do. I do. I mean, that's personal. Anyway. Maybe, just perhaps maybe, Martin Luther King stood for more than what he did in his personal life, and he made that quite well and known. If these facts are out there and people still haven't changed their minds, perhaps that is something to do with the lasting effect of what he stood for, and opposed to what he did in private. The problem with these statues, and then, would perhaps be a correlation between what they stood for in private and what they did in public, which were both horrendous. If you have half the project, maybe it is time to take a deeper look into why there is no consistency on the morals of which you speak. This would simply destroy your argument and make me the victor in a debate between you and I. But I do not wish to destroy in these matters. I wish to educate. And sadly, I have to educate another white man on why he is racist. Can't wait for the chuds in the YouTube comments. But Steven Crowder isn't white completely.
To someone who was misleading about working with communists, right? This is something that we have to be consistent about. Now, I don't think that we can't actually continue to espouse the words that MLK espoused in his most famous speech when he was talking about the content of character.
Bro.
I think that there are values there that are worthwhile, that are worth pursuing. And as a matter of fact, I think today the Black Lives Matter community and the woke left community who enable them would be well served to heed the words of his speeches as opposed to his imperfect life. But even when we're talking about his speeches, if, to the Pops Crowder's points, if MLK Jr. were alive today and had to give a speech that would get thunderous applause from today's left, it would have to be a very different speech.
Boondocks ran that joke already. Boondocks ran that specific scenario already. It would literally be the same, if not even more, on the left. Because he would have said if he were alive today, there's no way we didn't solve this shit by now. There's no way I wasn't walking down there with a million other people and y'all ain't figured this shit out by now. He would have called it more justified. Like,
I have a dream that my 4 gender-neutral children will not live in a nation where they are judged by outdated norms like their character, but exclusively by the color of his or her Z-skin. I have a dream today.
Did he Did he just... Oh, nah. Run that back a second.
For gender-neutral children will not live in a nation where they are judged by outdated norms like their character, but exclusively by the color of his or her Z-skin. I have a dream today. I have a dream that one day this nation will rise up and live out the true meaning of its creed. Fact checkers have determined this to be potentially harmful and misleading in...
Oh my God. Oh my God. How long is this segment? Almost an hour. Oh my God. Keck W, Keck weights, everything. Oh my God, this is horrid. I should have never started. I could have burned through like 20 of these tabs in the time that it took for me to cover this. And there's another MLK video to go.
Information. I have a dream that little black children and little white children will stand 6 feet apart at a pride parade to watch a man be ball-gagged and bullwhipped without fear of age propriety. I have a dream.
Balls to the wall. Welcome to the cum zone. Oh my God, this is great. Yo, people gonna watch this and be like, Now people think I'm laughing at this shit. It's like, you do find this entertaining. See, you're not shitting on it. You realize it's a joke too. Nah, you ever just meet someone so blatantly like out there that you're just like, the absurdity is just it's not even in. This man took literal footage of one of the most important icons in African American history and overdubbed it with like right-wing nutcase talking points to make a point.
And bullwhip without fear of age propriety. I have a dream that one day, even in the state of Florida, children of all colors and racial identities will cover their faces to learn critical race theory
Hey, I
over
appreciate
Zoom,
it.
while dissenting teachers are fired for things they said online 6 years ago.
Oh my God!
No, we gotta keep going. He's like, no, an hour? No, I just haven't shut the fuck up in the middle of it. We've been doing fact checks, we've been doing talks, like little intermittent segments. So like there's a whole thing like as to why this took so long. But like, it's just because it's so bad. And people like, this is cringe, but like it's almost too much for me. No, you don't understand. I'm not laughing like out of enjoyment. I'm laughing out of fear. Like this shit is, because it's like, how do you combat this? I guess after I'm done with this segment, I'm going to answer that question of how you would combat this, which is effectively doing what I'm doing now, but like on a real large scale. How would you combat this? Yes, sir. Okay.
Go and are taken out of context. This will be the day. This will be the day when all of science's children, yes, when all of science's children will be able to sing with new meaning. Oh, there ain't no other way, baby. I was born this way. I'm on the right track, baby. I was born this way. So let Sheedom ring from the tent cities of Los Angeles. Let Sheedom ring from the safe spaces of Brooklyn. Let Sheedom ring from the tech firms of Silicon Valley. Yes, all right. Let Sheedom ring from the branches of Santa Monica. But not only that, when we let Sheedom ring from every drum circle at Oberlin and from every remaining Apple store in Portland, we will be able to speed up the day when all of God's pronouns, POCs and bi-POCs, Latinx persons and Chicon X, yeah, the asexual and the aromantic, allosexual and the autosexual, queers and the genderqueers, the LGBTQ, the LGBTQIA, the LGBTQIA+, the LGBTQIA+, $ eggplant emoji, the Neptunic and the Trixic, the sometimes questioning and the two-spirited yes. We'll be able to join hands and sing in the words of the old spiritual, stay home, yes, stay safe. Thanks, science almighty, stay home, stay safe. Spirit fingers, please.
This is why I didn't stream about this on the day of. I would have lost my fucking soul. I would have lost my fucking soul.
I don't know which one I like more.
Power.
I think we got to hell. We go to hell by just watching this, yo, facts. Oh my god. Oh my, yeah, no, some people have made clip, I hate you. Yo, this is so much pain. This is so much pain. There is so much pain. I don't even know where to start. Is this the 6th layer of hell? Just listening to Steven Crowder videos? Oh my god.
Wow.
Impact.
Impact, like, yo, they're sitting there so awkward, like, I can't believe he just did that.
Fingers.
Too soon? Comment below. Comment below if that's too soon.
No.
It's the day.
And if you're watching on YouTube right now, if you want to see more of that, smash the like button right now.
If you want to see more racism, smash the like button. We got to read the comments. We got to end it with reading the comments. I have a dream that people trust the government and big pharma and shame and imprison those who question it. MLK, wow. I've known these facts for years, but only share them with a few people for obvious reasons. Cool us. Man, when I was little, they were telling us how great of a man he was, how he was a saint. It's hard to explain the initial shock of finding out he was a dirtbag with some good points. All they ever showed us was his I have a dream speech. Keep going, step further. And then some newspaper clippings after he was killed. Thinking back on it, they barely touched the riots back then too. Just kind of got the abridged version of history. Like, he liked the comment. Imagine somebody bringing any of this up in a college classroom. Instant expel, I would imagine. And there it is. And there it is. And there it is. And there it is. I've heard people praising MLK who lied about his real name to be more appealing, and it drove me crazy, feeling like nobody will actually care about the facts because they want to fit in or appeal to certain groups. Thank God that this is finally coming to light. Always telling it how it is. America needs to be revamped for sure. I'm part black, much like quarter black Garrett. And I never really saw MLK as a good role model for the black community, especially younger generations. After hearing what Crowder and crew had to say, I could see why. I knew back then that he wasn't as good of a person as my schools made me think. The ending was great. If he were alive today, he'd be wondering about what Ghislaine Maxwell is going to reveal. Anyway, back to the comment that I said, and there it is. It's quite hypocritical to praise Martin Luther King Jr. and celebrate his day while shitting on Christopher Columbus. So the takeaways that we're about to have from this video and this long ass, I guess this is a new leaf for me. Here's the take. Here's the, I guess we never, yeah, that is very true. That is very true. Now we still don't know. We still don't know because there is one more Crowder video and he could say it in there, but I was wrong. I was on my prediction shit last stream and I guess, you know, that juice, it flows day in, day out. You just never know. Wait, I hate, somebody ban Jenkins. Coming in here with common sense and facts. Don't do that. Don't do that. Don't come in here with that shit. Don't come in here. Oh, we were just talking about you. 13 months now. Let's go. With the emotes. Let's go. We on the left love Jizzy Maxwell, right? Thank God you didn't expose God Emperor Bill Clinton. Keep in mind, those claims are based on a fucking shaky source, and that's based on like a 5-minute search. Yeah, no. Here's the point. How did they know he wasn't that good if they didn't know any of this? Exactly. We on the left love to talk about perceived biases. We love that shit. We love that shit. But I want you to take a notice as to the takeaways that people had from that video. Don't talk about facts. Don't talk about anything. Just look at the takeaways. When fed a specific stream of information, they are taking away that Martin Luther King Jr. wasn't a great person. The same person that people quote every single time to recognize the plight of black people as you shouldn't be rioting, you should be protesting, you should be following his footsteps, etc., etc. Take a look at what preconceived biases can do when you watch the exact same thing with one an open mind and one with a closed mind. The closed mind leads you to the comments we just read. An open mind would say, wait a minute, what are you talking about? I didn't know this stuff, or I did know this stuff. What type of context are you putting it in? What conclusions are you trying to make? If all lives matter, then how on earth can you possibly justify this video? Especially the ending. Hey, YouTube, what's up? Like, subscribe, hit the bell to stay notified. I make longer videos than Cody.